Good, thank you.
Thank you for having me with
Sit
you.
Okay.
When are you going to walk around?
Yeah, okay, I'll have a diffusion.
Decided, I thought it was quite good to walk around. I don't know that we
Can we sit down now? Yeah, sit down. I don't want to take the road.
Hi everyone, welcome to our Atrium today. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land, the Grigo and Vigigo people, and pay respect to the elders past, present, and emerging. So we have two solo exhibitions on at the same time, one by Pamela, who is on screen with us, and the other by Jayanto. And so today we're very fortunate to have Jackre Menzies, the former head curator of Asian art at Atrium, New South Wales, to be with us to have this conversation with both Pamela and Jayanto. So hopefully at the end of it, you will fully understand everything that they do. So I'd like you to put your hand together for Jackre Menzies.
Thank you, Simon. It's not hands for me, it's hands for the artist. Thank you. Well, first, actually, with both of you, I would like to start with your background and your heritage, because I think that all feeds into your work. And I noticed very much, Jayanto, you said you have your Chinese, Malaysian, Martian Christian mother and a Chinese Guangdong Dao's father. Well, that certainly must really have influenced you and impacted on your work. Do you want to talk a bit about that? Obviously just this fact that this work is called Into My Mother's Garden implies to me that she was very important, obviously, in your, and perhaps more influential in your upbringing. But please speak about that if you'd just like to talk about the...
Sure.
So like Jackre said, my background is I'm Indonesian, born in Indonesia, from the Guangdong father from China, and my mother was for Indonesian generation mixed with the Malay, with the local indigenous from North Sumatra. So grow up with the mixed races. So mixed race, sound like racist. Mixed race, I feel like incomplete. So cut it short. So I built this work. So I'm looking at the in our village, my mother had a backyard. So her backyard is not full, grow a lot of vegetable and fruit, and so many of course tropical fruit. But for me, I'm very keen to looking at the family history, family story, and then what happened with the during the colonialism as well. So particularly for this work, I'm looking at the very common thing with my mother used from the garden is the pandan leaf. So the pandan leaf catching my thought or my eyes or my smell of that. So bring back to the past. So this work is not. This is a new work, but I finished my degree in drawing, but my drawing is kind of like a mixed media. So I'm more like into the sculpture. So I use a lot of clay in making a sculpture for my early work. So this new work, I want to experimenting with the media. So the text actually is not new text. I discovered during the pandemic when I had my first show at the first gallery in Sydney University. So I used the what people call the double happiness. But I never thought that before it could be double happiness because the text for me remind me when my sister and brothers married. So I saw the text on the top of the door. So that stuck in my head. But because during So I recreated the tradition of the Chinese text. But when I created this work, at the time, I was get grant from the City of Sydney to make the work respond to the pandemic 19. So you know how at that time we all wear masks. So if you look at the text at the bottom, this is like more like a mark than rather like a love symbol. So the original one when I saw from my sister brother wedding, it got like a symbol at the bottom, like a love symbol at the bottom. So I
the characters of the double happiness.
yeah. So if you see the bottom there, like a marks.
Oh, I thought those were two hearts.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because I guess maybe because the blurring thing, the heart. So I like the idea when you say that. It's like a heart. It's kind of just like a blurring idea. I like that. So people can just recognize it as something like very common thing for the Chinese tradition.
Yeah.
Like someone come when I install the work, someone say, "Oh, you got a lot of wedding here, double happiness here." So kind of the idea I like people recognize it.
Yes.
Then just rather like, "Oh, what's this that?" You know what I mean? But for me, it's like I like the blurring idea. So like showing my where I come from, my identity, like everything is blurring.
Yeah, no, that's very good.
Yeah, I'm saying too much.
Thank you. Hi, Pamela. Just maybe you could talk too about your work, your paper cuts, and you said that was a tradition in Guangdong. You studied various paper cutting traditions around China, I understand. But it was the one from Guangdong which appealed to you and that you've adapted to your own practice. Would you like to talk a bit about your training and what inspired you, please?
Thank you. So, Guangdong province is really large, and there's a lot of within there different groups, like cultural groups, language groups. There, my family we don't, because my father's family is from Fujian, and they're really patriarchal. It's sort of, women don't really have a voice as much. So my mother's always been hushed when I ask about her family. But I do know the name, it relates back to a region, and she sort of confirms like the style of paper cutting that I use is reminiscent of Foshan paper cutting. And Foshan, if anyone there speaks Cantonese, actually, I'm not really sure. I mean, yeah, most likely, and also Mandarin Foshan relates to the Buddhist mountain as well. So my style actually is very close to that. It's kind of more something, I don't know if it's serendipitous, but I certainly found that way out in a serendipitous way, because I had heard of a paper cutter and I went to the region, and I found that they spoke the language that we do at home and ate the food that we do at home, and I looked like everyone else there, and it just sort of worked, it just fit too tightly. So my mother's family's name becomes the area of Zhongshan is not far from there, just a little bit south. It's the closest regional style. My grandfather, because I might speak of my mother's side, my grandfather left around 1930. He was only age 12 from Fujian province, and he left with only his parents. He didn't have a shirt on, and it's really interesting. This is something I'm researching at the moment because a lot of the indentured labourers were moved out that way from China. I think it may have just been a matter of trying to track their health as well, the way that they were shipped out. And this happened right up until the Second World War, that labour was used. And throughout Pacific and Caribbean, but many ended up going to Singapore. And I know that my father, my grandfather, he also went to Malaysia when he was young. He was there for a while, and then they sent my grandmother from the same village in Fujian to go over to Malaysia, and they started a family. My father was moved to Australia in the 1960s. So it's the Colombo, just after the Colombo plan had started, and the White Australia policy had started to dismantle. So in a way, I mean, there's this relationship. I find an affinity with Jayanto's work, so I feel really fortunate that Simon allowed us, and Jayanto obviously was open to that, the two work together on this show and this shared space. And I was first drawn to his work because I do a little bit of writing, and I had just happened upon one of his pieces that he was showing up in Managing Brisbane, and I just could, it spoke to me, so I responded to that. Does that help at all?
Yes, that's good. And I mean, here, a lot of these works you have here are related to food and family, and of course you've done things related to food and family as well, haven't you?
That's right.
Yeah. No, it's quite important. We were talking earlier too about how, you know, the family or the cooking is sort of central to one's home life and unity. But I just must ask while I think of it, Pamela, there is a plant here. Is this the pandan leaf that you have on the wall in here? Do you have a pandan? There's a green leaf just in the corner. And I wondered if that was the pandan leaf.
There's pandan or banana leaf?
I don't know. Because everyone, you know, all this, Jayanto gets all his green from the pandan leaf, and I just thought, well, that might be one up there, but maybe it's a banana leaf. Anyway, that's the idea. So, and just Pamela, with your paper cuts, I mean, now you've sort of, the motives are very much sort of Australian, aren't they? I mean, apart from the ones to do with food, and a lot of the food is Chinese, then you have insects and ducks. I'm just thinking of traditional Chinese paper cuts where they might have sort of peaches and, you know, things which are auspicious fruit, things like that. Whereas you tend to have chosen insects that you are part of the Australian scene.
You might, what I found is when diaspora groups settle in a new community, I made the assumption with all the market gardeners that they grew Asian or introduced Asian foods, but it was to the market. So they grew things like potatoes as a depiction, I think, of Jayanto there, and he helped grow potatoes. So is this about, I mean, there's this personal aspect here, aside from the really large piece. There's a larger banquet style piece about the foods that I've encountered. I think that's really important because paper cutters, it's really hard to say, but we're led to believe by the research that was done post 1949 in China that there's this social realist aspect, that they captured aspects of daily life. There's this ethnographic aspect to the work, if you know what I mean. Because any doctrines around any kind of like record of a community is dictated by the government, by the community structure around it, right? So this is the angle of history that we're given. So my understanding is that it's very convenient for me, it works for me, that all our stories are captured through these cutouts. It's a way that the current government, gives a voice to women. So it's a woman's language. So this is my story. And with respect to food, I just at the moment are having so many issues with what, like many of us, I think, sitting there too, may also have is with what I can eat. So it's not just in terms of what I purchase that's manufactured that I'm always having to look at things like food colorings or preservatives, but also foods that have been sprayed with certain things that I can't have now. So because I can't eat it, I'm probably more fascinated with it in the way I kind of express that I kind of consume it with my life, you know. So this is the aspect of eye candy there. That's why they're also very colourful. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, you also relate to food a lot, don't you? I noticed in this particular exhibition of yours, there are the fish there. Do you want to talk about fish or that thing?
This body of work actually continuing for my first solo show in here 2 years ago. Where at that time I was making work about potluck party. So I create work is like based on the Australian story. So like everyone bring the plate. So this works continuing. You know how you first making work in here. You try to connect with your community, try to bring people together. That's the idea in my head, saying that for my first work. So I catching up with the community, meet up with the Atrium community, and meet all the people. So my second work is more like to intimate, to go in deep into the artwork, to tell most, to come to my family garden, to discovering what is in the garden. So when I was a kid, my mom used to be like to ask me to pick the pandan leaf and pick the also the fish for the party, for the fest, any kind of party where people get together. So for me, like to remind me back again in my childhood, what is the everyday unnecessary people might don't want to. Oh, well, people think, oh, I heard that, you know, maybe do that too. So I like the idea of that. People say, oh, it's very, you know, for very common thing, like a very general thing. So I want to bring this the topic into the work. That way, for this body of work, a lot of repetition. So all the same thing. It's kind of like the idea, bringing the everyday life. Yes. Your family, your everyday you eat, every day you're cooking, every day you're doing things to keep you moving.
Yeah. But I mean, when you talk about every day, I must bring up the tapestry words, the tea bags.
The tea bag is that connect as well with my work. You know, if I bring my performance, I invite people to having a tea. My performance called tea ceremony. I guess the idea pick up from the in Australian story, like a potluck party, where you're drinking tea, you're not allowed to drink coffee. That's my word. So during the performance, the tea ceremony performance, I serve the green tea or black tea or any kind of tea, but must be tea bag. So I collect the tea bag. I dry it and empty it. So I'm making the tapestry. Again, back to everyday thing, like the everyday, I guess everyday practice, like very common practice, because where I come from, everybody does it.
It's also has a contemporary sort of idea of recycling, I think, too. You know, tea.
Yeah, but back again to like today's society. Also, where I come from, Indonesia, we got so much rubbish, we got so much plastic. So they're not looking after the rubbish. This is really a big issue to the world, particularly where I come from. I don't know how we're gonna control it. We still have a problem with the rubbish. If you go to Indonesia, the life is full of rubbish. We clean it up, and then next week it's coming again. So the contemporary way of talking about the recycling idea to save the planet.
Yes.
So I use reuse object. Similar with all the fabric in here too. They're all reuse object. But this is just behind me here. This comes from my sister, from Taiwanese sister. That's it. She's no longer with us. So come on, remind me the memory when I was.
Well, the tsunami one too is particularly interesting. I mean, the way it's all washed away.
That's right. It washed away. Talking, I think 5 years or 6 years ago, we got tsunami came to Sumatra. So this kind of bring all the memory, everything like that. The climate change idea and the environment, thing like that. So the material is all recycling. Someone is giving to me. I found it, transformated to art. So something from my, I guess my home. So I just reusing again.
Yes, I know. Thank you. Pamela, just looking at your works, please. And I notice you have a couple showing sort of the dark silhouettes of the market farmers. And I read how you're very interested in the farmers too, in the markets, and also the issues of migration. And do you want to talk a bit about the works with the two works where you have a blackened silhouette alongside some flowers and vegetables? Do you know?
I'm sorry, Jackre, I think I got the gist of what you said. I'm not sure if it's breaking up for you as well.
Oh, I see.
Is it okay?
It's breaking in.
But I think I got farmers and I got flowers.
And I was talking about, right, if I move around, does that help at all or not? There's two works here where you have a silhouette, a dark silhouette of a figure. They're two different farmers. Yes, and I was just interested in your combination of that silhouette feature and the flowers. Because the silhouette, that...
Yes, I can speak to... so in terms of... There's it's actually a European style, many of you may be familiar with. So turn of the 18th century, I think that's when they started to appear in England, and they were known as British shapes, and then after that they became silhouettes with respect to a French tradition. So I thought it important in terms of speaking in a kind of a colloquial language that in a Eurocentric kind of perspective might be understood, but they were always considered kind of European themes. You might notice in Chinese art, I mean, definitely, and even One Way likes to add a lot of silhouettes too, but it's a very kind of a European perspective framing. And I just, when I have dialogues about colonial settlement, I do like to, it's convenient, you know, but I do enjoy the reductive line of that to create the kind of a likeness when I can. So these images were taken from, it's interesting that particularly when photography started to become used, it actually supplanted paper cutting of silhouettes as a method of keeping record that was economical. It was cheaper than, say, an oil painting to do. And sorry, just hang on a sec. Sorry, my daughter's here as well. They're obviously affiliated with kind of funeral things. Sorry. And the photographs that I took these from, and I often use these silhouettes because photography back in the 18th, 19th, particularly 19th century was really limited. So you'd have to have done something very bad or very good to have your photo taken. And then some were done posthumously. But these were taken during White Australia policy, and so to track the movements of aliens in and out of the country. So we have to understand that for these people, even though they're market gardeners, they must have been relatively well off to have been able to leave the country for visits and come back. So the two of them that I've represented are Yan, he was a market gardener in botany, and so I represented him with a potato because botany was considered a food bowl for the area at the time. That was one of the crops they grew. And Wong Song, who was a market gardener in Mascot, and the soil was also very kind of sandy there and suitable for Chinese root vegetables. Besides the actual representations of those plants, there's a picture of what's called a Bombec sepia, a red silk cotton tree flower, and that's representative of Canton or Guangdong, the region they came from. So I don't know if that helps. So I just wanted to pay homage to the Chinese people that lived in the area, and there were very many of them. And I think at the opening, you might remember that I also was able to do some offerings for them directly, just because they kind of like these representations sort of take the place of somewhat a shrine to suggest their spirits are still here.
Yes. No, thank you. I mean, there are a lot of Chinese marketing people everywhere, and the Newcastle Gallery also has portraits, I think, of some. But I mean, the Chinese Australians too, you're particularly interested in the history of individual Chinese Australians, aren't you? I noticed you did a show at the National Portrait Gallery on 16 different Chinese Australians. Is that...
Yes, thank you, Jackie. there were so many by the turn of the 20th century when they began the wide Australia policy, but in some areas it was sort of kind of even up to 11 to 1 ratio. That was in northern Tasmania, I believe. So people forget that at that time there were many of us, and people don't realise that. So I'm interested in reinstating that knowledge or that position within the community. Because when I grew up in the 1980s, and so there's a new wave of Chinese migration, even though my father came in the 1960s, that we were made to believe that we were new and we should go home. But this population's been there so early. I'm presently working on a portrait of Thomas Ainsley, who came in 1848 as part of a load on the New Road of indentured labourers. And the thing about CC, the name Ashley is the name he adopted and is naturalised as, because they were primarily male, predominantly male. There was a lack of females in general in the colony at the time. He had to marry. He married someone who was a British subject. I have to have a look where in Britain at the time, and his relatives are living here today. They don't look what we'd expect them to be. So there's no hints of that. Yes. And in working with some of these descendants, they're really keen to have this acknowledged, because they'll say, "Oh, I'm Chinese," and people don't believe them. And what this does, it kind of, in a way, it messes up with the things like the protests that happened last week. To make us believe that we're not of the same people, but it's just so heavily embedded in our communities. I think this is really important to address.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you very much. I might ask the floor if there's any questions. Does anyone here have any questions of either artist? Here we are.
Jane, do you boil up the pandan leaves to get the dye?
When? Get the colour.
To get the colour, the dye from the pandan.
Oh, the dye. Actually, I have to tell you the secret. The dye is commercial now. my first experimenting, like I bought the pandan leaf at the medical shop, in Vietnamese medical shop. I started to blend it, make the pigment. I think it might work. Now it's become like a commercial, package. Made in Indonesia, the color butterfly. And they start really keen to it. Butterfly, all right, I gotta use this. I think that so work well. So I had a little bit experimenting before I start doing the work as well. And I tried a couple of brands as well, doesn't work well. So I stuck with this commercial brand. Sorry about it, it's not really authentic anymore.
But when you navigated pandanus with the fish, did you eat the pandanus?
Of course. But it's not, yeah. So
it's like spinach, is it? It goes soft.
Yeah.
When you boil it, it goes soft. You eat it. Pandanus.
Well, I think we don't boil it. I think someone boil it, someone fried it as well. I think in our case, I don't think I remember we boiled it pandan leaf. I think we fried them with fish. And sometimes also we squash it, make the liquid, so we just mix with the flour, making a cake. I think majority they should use a lot of cake.
Do you wrap the fish in like a banana leaf?
They do as well, the banana leaf and also the pandan as well. Yeah, we do kind of the technique for the fish cooking.
Any other questions? Oh, here we have one.
I think the Japanese made the pattern just look like Chinese with the vegetable patch.
Oh, thank you. Oh, what do you mean?
Yeah, just like a vegetable.
Really?
The Chinese, all the vegetable they draw, just like a lettuce.
Okay.
Just like a vegetable. I think. And I also quite like because I also do the same subject.
Okay.
Chinese avant-garde.
Yeah.
But I just found that you pick up the two things one is a double happiness. You make a double happiness like actually just like a grow vegetable on the soil.
I like that, yeah, but I didn't thought that. I just for me like
it's very good.
I like it. I like it. Yeah.
And there's like
Thank you for that.
embed all the harshness become happiness. That's
That's right.
very very good. And I also like the fish. In the Chinese, the fish also yu. It means we should the Chinese in the Chinese New Year or anything. You got on the table, you gotta have the fish.
Yeah.
The fish means is talking about the yu. Yu is that you gotta have the extra. You got more.
Okay,
You
thank
always
you.
have to live more. Like you rich. Like you can't just spend all the money. You have to.
Cool.
Yeah, that is the two things you pick up. So.
So thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. I think
Yeah.
through your perspective and my perspective is very different because
Yeah.
like I like when you hear that. I like when you say so. You hear what is from your perspective. For me, actually, the double happiness is more like, of course, it's now I realize it's based on the Chinese traditional calligraphy.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like a more like to my identity as a queer person that put together.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, like symbolism. I like looking. I think my practice during my school year, I think it's about symbolism. Where I come from is being a queer person. It had to be discreet. It had to be hidden. You're not saying it. So this kind of like the idea of the soft screaming, soft, gentle wording for myself to confirm to myself that I'm okay to express my identity without worries. So for me, the double happiness is like but the marriage equality, where the same genders get married together in harmony.
Yeah.
Well, not really harmony because it's nothing. The text is nothing perfectly right. It can be like a little bit of blurring and a little bit like something moving. Because I like the idea of moving and blurring thing. That's one part. And as I like is you pointing like a growing vegetable and the thing. For me, it's kind of a prayer. Where it comes from is a religion very important. So you must have a religion. So that means the religion is like a Bible. When I was a kid, so I heard this long prayers in the morning. Like my neighbors or my mom or different thing, so they all kind of different religion all together. So I heard this word, same word, repetition all same thing. So for me, it's like kind of the idea you pointing about the planting the plants. For me, like a prayer. If you look in the Bible or the Quran, thing like that, there was like a very nice, repetition. This for me, present of the text. And then, but the fish is another story as well. It's I don't learn much about the fish in Chinese mythology. For me, the fish is about like the idea of frighting the fish. I got this very, and then become a sharp-ish of the idea of like when you migrate to Australia, you've been fried, been cooked so much, and sometimes I look at this scene of people cook fish on the street when you go to, I guess you when you go to back to Indonesia, go to Thailand, or try to street fruit. We cooking the fish, like the live fish. So they cut the fish in front of you and they fry it with the hot oil. So for me, it kind of bring this idea of the process cooking fish, and you've been cooked so much, and you're like, you're cooking fish, you can see the fish jumping, you try to get up from the wall. The idea like that. So I'm thinking of myself like, I'm in the little walk, that front by the Australian society, and then and also the smell, the sizzling. That for me. Percent of my the fish for me presented. But I like to hear from you, like saying the fish like thing like that. This is a good thing. I want next time bring up the idea, and particularly the the plant, the vegetable thing. I think I like that. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna steal your idea.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So thank you, Pamela. Down here, the exhibition, the installation, because Pamela installed this, I assume. I mean, would you like to talk a bit about the installation, the way it's sort of spread and the rhythm you have through the pieces across the wall?
You mean the larger piece that, well, there's been, I was really lucky to have Ethan and Simon to do that. I also have to apologise. It's been a bit tricky because I have a teenage daughter who's very reluctant to travel now. In fact, if I seem distracted, it's just before she kept clicking this noise. This is click, 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 and I just couldn't concentrate. What's going on? And yeah, so photography actually didn't start till the 19th century, as I said before. But anyway, the artwork. So there's this like a progression of food that might come out in a banquet. I wanted it to be somewhere between, so they are kind of floating across the wall, but like somewhere between an altar for making offerings or being seated at the table. So all are welcome, from living to spiritual kind of visitors to consume them. So I normally when I install it, it's probably more rectangular, more like a table, and the items spread across that, and then it's isolated. That would be the only artwork in the entire room. If I can, it would be farther away from everything else. You see that it starts with like an appetizer kind of dumpling, that kind of thing. Very particular, kind of like a like a dim sum sort of, not or there's seafood and but towards the end, well, I guess it'd be in the middle, but in a Chinese sense, at the end of the banquets, when you have stuff like noodles to fill any space in between. And then, because in Australia we also kind of do desserts, the sweets are at the end. And I've added things like a boba bubble drink, taro milk tea, citrus, all things that I can't eat. The pigeon also is, because I've seen often in religious kind of places like pagodas, you find pigeons nesting there in them, but also this idea of them stealing food as well. Actually, to think of it, I mean, if any of you have ever heard of the term pigeon English, so this pigeonization of language, it's actually not spelled like pigeon, and it's a totally separate word, but I grew up sort of not recognizing that. I thought it was the same word. So this pigeonization or mixing of languages, of cultures, of cuisine, as well as what I wanted to get at by also representing one of those.
Do you want to add anything, Simon? Do you want to add anything to the?
Yeah, basically what we did is I just speak to Pamela beforehand. She just sent everything together to us, and I said, do you have some idea of how you want to lay it out? And she actually sent us something of how she would like to see it installed, and then she just left it to us to try and follow that as much as possible. Yeah, but basically it's sort of like a bit of a wave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, well, thank you very much. Are there more questions or not? Pamela, would you like to add anything else, or Jayanto, would you like to add anything else? No.
I could talk a lot.
We can just keep enjoying your work then.
Thank you. Pamela, you frozen.
Yes? You're frozen.
Yeah.
No, I'm just sitting very still, actually. It's just that in terms, I know I've gotten the feedback that I should be more controlling of how the work is represented, but I'm in the work space as an architect, but also I think Lawrence, they work best where I don't.
very good reception.
Reception's not good.
Yeah. I think Pamela, we lost you.
Yeah, let's give her a clap.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pamela, Jayanto, and Jackre for
Thank
having
you
this
very
conversation
much.
today. Yeah. If you can put your hand together again. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Enjoy the exhibition.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Pamela.
Well
Thank you,
done,
Pamela.
Thank you,
Okay,
Pamela.
thank you.